warrior is defined as a brave, experienced fighter who never surrenders. Come, explore the journey of a warrior of life. Feel their struggle. Witness their biggest fights for survival. Celebrate their triumphs. Come, find the warrior in you. This is Words of a Warrior podcast.
Hi, it's your host Darrell Chambers here for another episode of the Words of a Warrior podcast. This is really a special edition because the U Belly program in Amsterdam, Netherlands is kicking off. So we're on day 2 and I've already learned so much information, which I'll be passing on and doing a solo cast on that. But today isn't about me. We have a special guest. So without further ado, we're going to get into this very special edition of the podcast. So if you can tell us a bit about yourself, your name, who you are, and what you just delivered, because it was incredible.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. My name is King Luther Afriyie. I'm a poet and a human rights activist. And I think that what I just delivered was about Dutch racism. The Netherlands is the country where you can get high if you want to.
Yeah.
You can, all these progressive things, you can do that. But also there's a bigger story, and the story is how people are treated in this country. And we see a division of two types of people, whites and non-whites, and where the whites are the dominant group who actually decide what to be said, what to be learned, what to be seen, etc. And it kind of, led a lot of these different people, it kind of left them out of it, excluded from entitlements of their country. And when I talk about the non-whites, it's a mixed group of people with migrants from different countries. But we also have descendants of enslaved people who have been here for about 500 years, the last 500 years. The history, of course, is very brutal, and it's never been fully recognized by the Dutch government or the Dutch people,
Interesting. So, what do you say then to people that say it's 2018, everybody has the same rights, there was a black president, everybody's equal? Because you do hear that a lot across the European. They'd say
yes,
everybody's equal. Coming here, I guess that was the consensus, and I see it's very different. But what do you say to people that they say, no, it's you? It's you walking around, I guess they say you've got a chip on your shoulder. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I say there are only two people who say such a thing, either people with privilege or people who are unaware of what's going on. I'm not quick to judge people, but I do know that racism exists in this country, whether it's on the labor market, where when we apply for a job, they look at your first name before they look at your qualities. When there are certain neighborhoods and areas and cities in this country where if I will show myself there in the streets, I know within 60 seconds police would arrive to ask questions like, what you doing here? Even though I'm Dutch, I have Dutch passport, and even though most of the people are born here who doesn't know any other country than this one, and yet the people are still feeling like they still have this slave colonial mentality where it's kind of like if you are black, you are not good enough. If you are white, it's right, But I think that what we are seeing is, of course, an uprising from the communities who are fighting the dominant community. And it's kind of, we are seeing also, it's not only like black versus white. There are a lot of white people who are also fighting against racism in this country as well, although it's not shown, of course.
Okay, that's very interesting. And you touched on a festival that's, I guess it's an annual festival in Holland, which is very popular, and you got a lot of coverage for that. But could you tell the viewers and listeners a bit about that, please?
Yes, of course. On the 1st of July, we celebrate the abolition of slavery, and also it's kind of like annually a lot of people come together, but it's not nationalized yet, and we are fighting to make it nationalized. We also want it to be a day where people are free from jobs, free, so they can really take it in. Because I think that this country had more than 260 years slavery past, and it's not recognized. So this day is very important. We call it kitikoti. It's a Surinamese word for breaking the chains. And it's a lot of Surinamese people who are descendant of enslavement, Dutch enslavement. They have really fought all along, all this time, all these years, centuries against the oppression. And so they are most of all the descendants of enslaved people. They are in this country the most aware of the past, But we have also Caribbean Dutch who most are really unaware and who are still going through this mental slavery.
Why is that? Why do you think the Caribbean Dutch go through it a lot more?
I think that in Suriname, a lot of the enslaved people fought back, escaped, and these stories were known. So it wasn't like a few people did something and nobody knew about it. So there was always this conflict, and I think that's also led to eventually the abolition of Dutch enslavement in Suriname. Together, Suriname was of course the plantation where the plantations were, the Dutch plantations, they had the plantations, and a lot of people were enslaved over there and moved over there from the Caribbean as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, very interesting, fascinating. So you was mentioning the uprising, you're starting to see way more of an uprising. Would you say the uprising is with the young people or people that are a bit older? What kind of a mentality do you see with young people at the moment towards racism?
I think the young people are more progressive because they are growing up with each other, they are seeing each other, they like each other's music, they play football together, So they go to the same club, even though there are some clubs, they're still, keeping out North African Dutch people with descendants of North African culture, and also black people refuse at the gate, they find excuse to say, oh, it's only for members, and there are no members, and these, and sometimes you are in a group with white people, then they will let the white people in and they will say it's for members, and the white people will be like, but it's also our first time.
Yeah.
So the youth and the youngsters up to like 35, they are fully, finding a way together to make, to get this past, this brutal past behind us. At the same time, what we are seeing is that the older people from 40, 45 ahead, those people are really, they don't understand it. They were brought up with caricatures like Gollywog, like Zwarte Piet, and they also were brought up with textbooks, very racist textbooks. So they are really, that's the environment, and they don't understand how it could be wrong, something they have enjoyed a lifelong.
Got you. So would you say the problem lies a lot with the education that is instilled in, I guess, people in general, not even young people? I guess if you grow up with something, it's hard to say, wow, what I grew up with is racist. They don't want to accept that. So there's some, I guess, a self-identity kind of conflict there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I speak for myself, I was really raised homophobic, because I went to Catholic school and we had to go to the Catholic church, and they told us, if you are gay, you are going to hell, all those bullshit. And we took it, So for me, it took a long time for me to realize I was raised wrong,
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of white people haven't come to terms with that aspect of their life, that they've been raised to look at people in colors and not the content of the people or the character. So I think that it's very important for us to address that, and education is the tool, because I know that all people who knows better will do better. But most people who knows better do better. So I think that if you want to fight racism, you want to fight this differentiation of people based on the color or their culture, I think that we have to educate ourselves first. Even activists have to educate themselves, and also educate our surroundings, and especially the children. Make sure they don't become copycats of us, because that means they are going to inherit the same racist behavior and hostility.
Love that. Wow, how deep was that, everybody? I told you. And that's just a snippet of what we just covered in the session that was about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. Okay, very quickly, would you say that being a human rights activist and a poet coincide? Do those two go hand in hand?
Definitely. Albert Camus, I think, if I'm not mistaken, said a rebel is someone who says no. So I feel like, I'm a poet. I write about life and all aspect of it. and I write about things I see and things I think that we should either address or either do something about it, and not only address. And I feel like, you know, I will really do myself disservice if I will only write about the injustice and not also find a way to contribute. And I know writing about it also gives awareness, but I feel like there's more I could do. You know, the pen is a weapon, but sometimes you have to also be out there, you know, show yourself. And I know it's very important because I've seen a lot of elder people in my community. I live in the most dominant black community. In this area, it's like 60 to 70% of the people are black. Wow. And I live here, and that's about 60,000 or something people. And I live here, and I see elder people coming up, walking towards me with tears in their eyes, saying, I never thought I would live to see a generation who will really pick up this fight and fight the injustice we are facing in this country, which is not known to the world. But I think slowly but surely, especially the past 5 years, the world have got a different look of the Netherlands. And we are not doing this because we want to make our country look better. It's my country, and I love the country. Make no mistake about it. And it just, there are so many things that we can do better, and the country is looking away because the world thinks that we are an example for other countries. But I think for us to become example, we have to become human.
I love that. What a powerful message. And yeah, so just before we depart, have you got a poem that you could leave with us?
Oh, I have a poem that I can leave with you.
Yeah.
Okay, then you have to give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can wait. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I should have known when I said, okay, let's do this. I should have asked, okay, what is
what's
this
going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Let me see.
No, it'd be great to hear. I mean, we've only done a short interview, but some of the knowledge that we're having, and I guess, yeah, even coming to the Netherlands, I didn't really know what to expect on the side of racism, and we've experienced some thought patterns, and a lot of, I guess, a big thing is they don't believe a lot of their actions are racist, but it's different. I mean, as common as racism is around the world, it's just a different mindset over here. People make comments or do things without thinking, and that's something that's kind of instilled in them. And again, this is why we talk about the importance of educating your youth, or educating not just your youth within the community, so they can know, and then they can do better, and they can act better, and that's how we will really come together. But yeah.
Let me see if I can find something. I have a lot of Dutch poems in mind, but okay, I think it will be great because seeing the picture, you know. Okay, let me do this. This is called Time for Greatness. Let's see. Okay, yes. This time for greatness. This isn't the time or the place to debate who's real and who's fake, who's black and who's not black enough, who got bagged and who shot back at the cops. This is not the time or the place for you to have false sense of importance. This is not the time for cowardly advice, inferiority complex, or to disrespect the Most High. My heart beats for peace, but I fought wars in my sleep. My adversaries were people I once called brothers, who look just like me. I want the best for the world, but the world doesn't want the best for me. But this is not the time or the place to dwell on that. I know my people went through hell and back, but we are strong. That's why Babylon holds the gun. You see, I know his story. Make sure I pass it on to my son. This is not the time or the place to have doubts. Dear sister, I want you to be proud. This is not the time to pity yourself or feel ugly, because sister, I think you are pretty as hell. This is not the time to allow defeat and unhappiness to creep into our soul. This is not the time to give up your dreams. Brothers are mentally slaves, scared to grow. They hide in the shadows, fearful men. People who throw stones and hide their hands, saying there's no other way out of the gutter. You don't know how much my heart smiles when I see a successful brother. They're exceptional, precious moments are scarce. Lovers and intellectuals, they say life is art. So like Heidi Singh Kuba, I just want to play my part. Young brothers and sisters missing a father figure, I want to play that part. Because to me it's evident, if we lose the youth, we lose everything. There's a time and place for everything. This is the time for greatness.
This is the time for greatness. What a powerful, powerful poem. And I know we put you on the spot, but I'm glad you did that. That was incredible. And I'm going to be rewinding and playing that back. Hey, listen, it was a pleasure having you today. I wish we could have had longer, but that was powerful. It's all about the message. It's not about the time. So thank you. This is another episode of the Words of Warrior podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned in because there'll be more in this special part series. So thank you very much.